Hello my friends, welcome to the metal shop. On the workbench today is the 78 Telecaster. I think that I have done a video introduction of this guitar. Had it for about a year. I did replace all of the hardware with slotted screws just for a look. And I definitely did a video on when I reliced all those slotted screws. Saw one of old Mike Campbell video of him using like a 54 broadcaster, and they did a close-up and showed those slotted screws. Thought it was cool as hell. Anyway, so I'm going to install the Bigsby B5 on this guitar, and I'm going to use the Vibramate. The Vibramate does require, here's the Vibramate plate, that you use the 3 saddle style, the old style saddle, instead of the you can't use the 6 separate saddles. You see how they orient that. I wanted to use this old Fender plate. This is a copy of their, the 52 reissue or whatever, and I was going to relic this, but it doesn't actually. The Vibramate is a little bit wider. If you compare these, you can see that right there. The Vibramate is just a little bit wider. I was going to modify this and do a little bit of metal work on it. Not going to work. So the Vibramate kind of slides in. There you can see how that goes together. Held on by the strap pin. Anyway, so I'm going to remove this, and we get the pickup transferred over to the Vibramate plate. I'm going to get that installed on the guitar, and I'm going to get this bolted on, and the felt pads do have to come off. It states right in the instructions before it bolts to the Vibramate, and that is because, let's see if we can get down here and see this, when your strings come over the saddles and then they go under this roller here, you can't. Part of the problems with the Telecaster is it's so flat that you don't want this to be lifted up, because then you're just not going to have enough of a break angle there. So removing the felt, and then this is actually probably about exactly the same width as the felt, won't crush. But I'm going to give you a brief pause, and we will go back in time and see how I reliced up this Bigsby B5 to match the rest of the guitar. So hang on. Alright, so out in the metal shop garage, what I've done here, there's really no hard and fast science to relicing or trying to make something appear aged. I really do like the looks of the F Fender Bigsby, where the paint has worn off and it's kind of all one dull tone. So what I have done here is, and I don't have it in the original packaging, I got this 3812 enamel reducer from a friend of mine who owns a body shop. It's pretty caustic stuff, and it's good top quality solvent there. And I filled the cap up a little bit and just dumped it in here, and I filled that cavity with the enamel reducer. Now it's only sat for a couple minutes, and I've tried it here with the Q-tip, and it hasn't touched that paint yet. So I'm gonna let it sit for a while longer. It'll evaporate eventually. I may just, who knows how long I'll let it sit for, an hour or two, and I'll get back to working it with the Q-tip here, and we'll check back and see the results. Cool. Alright, so the 3812 enamel reducer did not work. It evaporated pretty quickly. I worked it pretty good with the Q-tip here, and you can see it came off a little bit, but it was going to take a lot of elbow grease, and I'm really looking for something. Sorry, my shadow just keeps getting in there. I'm really looking for something that's just going to strip that paint off. So I tried actual paint thinner. That didn't evaporate, but it didn't really, that's what's on here now. That didn't really work either. So I'm going to try this PCB etchant solution, which is ferric chloride. So it's like an acid. that's what I'm going to use to age this anyway. So I'm going to try just a couple of drops of that in there and see if that eats the paint. I didn't want to physically remove it, you know, with like a Scotch-Brite or whatever, which I'm sure would, of course, would work. I really would like to just remove the paint and keep it a nice, kind of an even, you know, finish all the way across, you know, so we'll see. Stand by. All right, so the etchant solution, the ferric chloride, was kind of a fail. I did end up getting it all over the place, which doesn't matter. You can see that it's aged quite a bit since before. You can just take this, and you've seen the technique or the method of laying tissue paper over it so that it holds the etchant solution right in place. I like just putting it on right with a Q-tip, and it actually leaves little droplets, and it actually kind of looks like a more natural aging. Can you see that there? See that in there what I'm talking about? It looks pretty cool like that. Now the bar, it's stained up. I had to use, I mean, again, this is no exact science to it. Just work the stuff. I use a dirty 3M pad, kind of get the bar. You can go back over it with more etchant solution, but this thing already looks, and I'm not trying to, you know, fool anybody. I mean, this is going on a 1978 Telecaster. I just want it to match. You know, I don't want it to be like, wow, brand new Bigsby on your Telecaster. So I did try also lacquer thinner, I believe. Let's see what that is over there. Yeah, lacquer thinner. That didn't really work either for getting this paint out. So not sure exactly what I'm going to do. I may do something with a Dremel. I'm not really sure. So stand by some more, see what we come up with. All right, so here's what I found that I really liked, is this little kind of a 3M, like a Scotch-Brite wheel for the Dremel. This is a pretty soft one. They have a more coarse one. This I find to be pretty controllable on a low speed setting. It's going to take a lot of elbow grease. It's not like whizzing the paint right off, but it will do the job here. As you can see, I've already removed some of that paint. I may get out the more abrasive one here and give this a quick try. So I'll be right back. All right, so here's what we came up with using that kind of the 3M scuffing disc with the Dremel. I decided to actually leave a little bit of paint, as you can see, and not just because I'm lazy and it was a pain in the butt to get rid of it, but I was like, no, if the paint was naturally worn off, it would wear off in the big spots first. And obviously the paint they used to use in the old days used to be I mean, they probably painted it with, like, you know, Tester's enamel or something like you did model cars, because it's always worn off on the old guitars. This stuff was hard as a rock. So there you can see kind of what I left. You can still see some fine kind of scratches here. I went back over it with the acid etchant solution. Again, you just, you know, just kind of do this. You kind of, I'm wiping it off here with a kind of a greasy, kind of a coarse rag. You'd never use a rag like this on anything that had a nice finish because it would leave scratches in it. And I think that it turned out pretty well. This is chromed, and that discolor is pretty good. And you know, you can go over this with you know, a little WD, a little 3-in-1 oil, and just kind of make sure your moving parts are still working good. Overall, pretty happy. Let me know what you think in the comments. Cool. All right, so I just wanted to show you this real quick. I love stuff like this. I unbolted the plate, and so first off, the pickup has springs, which is cool, and not the little medical tubing. That's real old school with medical tubing, but I'm not sure if we can see in there. I don't think this has been into very much. There's a huge dust bunny there in the corner, and there's some markings there. Can't really tell what that says. 2661, something like that. Anyway, I thought it was fascinating. I just love stuff like that. And look at the discoloration from the top, the color in the top there. So hopefully you found this as fascinating as I did. I'm not real super thrilled with these pickups. Probably swap them out for a set of Seymour Duncans somewhere down the road. They really don't sound that great. So onward we go. Here, just so you could see, this thing had a ton of players wear. Sorry about my shadow. Look at that. Look at how discolored those saddles are versus the underside of this one. Got this mounted. Didn't take particular care in moving any of these saddles out of the way to put the screws in place, because again, I want this to look relic, and if these little brass pieces get dinged up from the screwdriver, from those screws going in, then, you know, so be it. So I'm going to install this plate. Obviously not really a big deal. I'm going to take the strap pin out, put this on, and like I said, I'm going to scrape off this felt and install it, and we'll pick it up from there. I mentioned that I got this bridge set up almost exactly the same as I could using this little ruler with a slide on it, just to take all the height and the intonation adjustments, just to get it as close as possible. The Vibramate does come with these nice acorn nuts and the rubber washers. And the nice thing that I like I said, I've already said this 3 times in this video about removing the felt, which I'm going to do here. And they also show that these washers go on top. So this thing gets mounted, I mean, it's metal to metal here on the guitar. A really good connection, you know, hence Vibramate, I suppose. So I'm gonna get that bolted on. All right, so I got it bolted on. Got these tightened up with nut drivers. Interestingly, those rubber washers kind of gave up the ghost when you're turning the little acorn screws in this nut here. It kind of shredded them a little bit. I don't know if that was intended or not, but I wanted this thing good and snug. So I mentioned that I'd basically set up the intonation and the string height. You know, got the curve there, the radius, and honestly, yeah, I'm not sure how you go about adjusting your intonation with the Bigsby in the way if you don't have that thing close. I mean, I suppose I could grab these with, you know, a set of pliers and spin them a little bit. Sorry for my big hand being in the way. And go about it that way. Not a huge deal to move this, but how are you intonating it if you're taking this on and off? So put the Bigsby spring in, get this thing strung up, and then we'll be back. Cool. All right, so got this thing all done up. Really pretty simple. I mean, stringing it up was a giant pain. You guys know who've done strings, who have strung up a Bigsby before, know what a gigantic pain in the behind it is. Could really use a third hand. I used a capo, and you know, you got to hold the ball end on, and the Fender does not make it easy with the, you know, that safety post, whatever they call that deal. But overall, you know, the Telecaster can't beat it. It's pretty simple. I'm not sure, the strings are kind of slipping a little bit back and forth here on this bridge. Are you supposed to cut grooves in there, you know, with a file or whatever? I'm not sure. I went over the acorn nuts here with Scotch-Brite pad, you know, it's a 3M, just to kind of knock them down a little bit. Not real thrilled with that. Intonated up nice. You know, from where I had set it up from previously, just with the, you know, doing some measurements, it seemed to be okay. I'm not going to plug it in. You know, I'll do a proper demonstration some other time. Looks cool, I think. I like it. Strings need to be stretched out and needs to be retuned. You know, that's a good Telly song that he played, you know, that I can't think of even the name of the band now. I'm drawing a blank right now, but Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress, the Hollies. He definitely plays it way back here on the edge of the Telecaster. Anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed this. Relic'ing, installing a Bigsby with a Vibramate onto the Telecaster, the B5 Bigsby. Cool. Like it. And again, I will do a proper demonstration, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit the like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if you're so inclined. If you're not, tell me what you don't like about it. All right, my friends, take care.